Kung Fu Hustle came out in 2004. It was directed, written, produced, and starred Stephen Chow, a Chinese filmmaker. And yeah, it was very much the Stephen Chow show, and he was great. He killed it. He directed a few other movies before that, and they looked really cool. I've heard of Shaolin Soccer before, but I saw a clip from it when I was doing some research on Stephen Chow, and that looks awesome. I think I'm gonna watch that soon if I can find it on any streaming service or anything. But yeah, he just come off of Shaolin Soccer when he made Kung Fu Hustle. I believe Shaolin Soccer was like, I don't know, 2001 or something. Yeah, I want to watch it as well. It looks sick. If it was anything like Kung Fu Hustle, then I'm like, okay, I'm totally in because yeah, it looks awesome. Watched this for like 8 years. Yeah, I heard the name before, but I didn't really know too much about it. But now that I know it's this filmmaker who made Shaolin Soccer, I'm like, okay, I'm totally in. Yeah, he made other films also, From Beijing with Love, which is apparently kind of like a James Bond spoof movie, which seems to be fun. He made one called King of Comedy, not the Martin Scorsese King of Comedy, but his own King of Comedy. And he made Journey to the West, which I've heard of before, but I didn't know too much about either. But yeah, he's apparently quite famous in China, and seems like for good reason. Yeah, so he made Kung Fu Hustle in 2004. Well, just about Stephen Chow in general, he idolized Bruce Lee, he said, and he grew up in kind of a lower class area in China, which is kind of representative of the, what's it called, the pigsty, the pig town that's in the movie. So yeah, I guess it seemed like a lot of his characters were people who may not have been very wealthy, but then they kind of rise up and become the heroes of the film. So that's a common theme so that he took from his life. I've heard that the style of comedy, I guess, that he uses is called Mo Li Tao. Said something like that, but it's a type of slapstick humor, and in China it means like it makes no sense and things just like happen out of nowhere, which is, I like it. I think a lot of the humor worked in this movie because yeah, it was super random, and yeah, that seems to be he works very well with that style of comedy. Yeah, so yeah, Stephen Chow, filmmaker, who made Kung Fu Hustle, which had a budget of $20 million. This is all in U.S. Dollars, so it had a budget of $20 million U.S. dollars, and it grossed $104 million worldwide. But most of that was mostly in Chinese markets, because in Canada, in U.S., it said that it only made 17 million, so that doesn't even cover the budget, but still 104 million worldwide. And it was the highest grossing film in Hong Kong history up until 2011. So it held that title for 7 years before it was broken. I don't know what film it was broken by, but yeah, it was the highest grossing film in Hong Kong history for 7 whole years, which is crazy. It was nominated for a BAFTA. I guess that's the most like the most notable Western film festival that it was nominated for something. So yeah, it was nominated for a BAFTA for foreign language film, but of course it was nominated for like 16 Hong Kong Film Awards. So it won like Best Picture, Best Choreography, Editing, Sound Effects, Supporting Actor, Visual Effects. It said, yeah, so very, very high praised in Hong Kong, and it seems like it's a very popular movie over there. But yeah, it said on Wikipedia that it had decent success in the U.S., and it was one of the more notable like foreign language films that got a decent amount of traction in the U.S. I mean, $17 million in the U.S. and Canada, that's nothing to scoff at. So yeah, and also it said that there is potentially a sequel in the works, but it seemed like that right after the movie happened, Stephen Chow was like, oh yeah, maybe a sequel, and now we're in 2022 and like still hasn't happened, but it seemed like the rumors hadn't died, or they died down, but they hadn't been completely squashed. So like maybe it'll still happen at some point. Maybe you get even more retired martial art film legends, because yeah, apparently that was a lot of the cast was people coming back reprising their roles. So yeah, let's get into the story and some of the characters. That's most of the production stuff that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, this story. How do I summarize the story off the top of my head? So, if we were to summarize Kung Fu Hustle, I would say it is a story about a wannabe gangster who has learned that in order to get forward in life, you have to be an asshole. You have to murder people. You have to steal. You just have to be a criminal if you want any status, because you have the gangs which kind of rule the city at the time, right? They're the top guys, and everybody just wants to be in the Axe gang or the Crocodile gang. That was for a short time at the beginning of the movie, but yeah, that's what the main character has grown up realizing. And when in a small town, he comes in, he pretends to be a part of this Axe gang because he just wants to be a criminal so much, and when he's there, he draws the attention of the real Axe gang to come to that small village and begin wreaking havoc because the villagers start to fight back. And then that conflict begins between the actual gang and the small town. And yeah, the conflict kind of just started by Stephen Chow's character Sing, this idiot who just wanted to just terrorize this town for no reason. And so in the end, he is the one who becomes enlightened and becomes a kung fu master, kind of like out of nowhere, really. But and he ends up saving the day. But yeah, I guess that's a very crude way of just summarizing everything. But yeah, so Stephen Chow's character, Sing, I mean, he's great. He's great at this physical comedy style. And yeah, his character, he starts off literally just on the streets with a bunch of... He has a scene where he's like crouching on the street with a bunch of people. And he's saying to everybody like, oh, look at all these peasants and look at all these lowlives. Yeah, they're so horrible, while he's literally dressed as one of them amongst them. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of irony with his character just chilling with the low class citizens while thinking he's just so much better than all of them. But I mean, he's great. Stephen Chow is great. He has this like he has this way about him where he is kind of the lovable idiot in a sense, because throughout the whole movie he has opportunities to actually like become a criminal, but he never takes them because he's so like, his head is just so empty that he's like, no, I'm never gonna hurt anybody, or I don't know. He plays that off well, and I mean, yeah, he's great. Next we have the landlord. So we are kind of introduced to the landlord fairly early on after that one sequence with those criminals in town, and you have the landlord literally just trying to like get with a bunch of the random women in town and just steal food from people and everything in his own small pigsty. I forget what it's called. It's called the pig. What's it called? Let me look it up. Yeah, Pigsty Alley is what it's called. So yeah, the landlord of Pigsty Alley, and he goes around kind of literally terrorizing his own citizens, being an asshole. But then we learn later that he is actually a kung fu legend who is now secluded to this Pigsty Alley facade because they lost a son, him and the landlady. They lost a son, and yeah, they want to go back into hiding, live a normal life, but this angst of this lost child is just making them be assholes to these people. But yeah, so like I said before, it's a bunch of notable actors and like stunt people who are kind of becoming this whole cast here. So I feel like I'm gonna say most of these names wrong. So we have Wai Yun as the landlord, and apparently he was one of Bruce Lee's stunt doubles. So like, somebody who is a stunt double for the Bruce Lee, that's pretty crazy. And he's been in like over 100 films himself. It seems like he's a pretty notable guy in Chinese filmmaking. So yeah, that's pretty sick that they got him in this. And then you have the landlady, who was not somebody notable, but apparently she did some stunt work before. But in the Wikipedia article, it says that the way she got the role was she was spotted while her friend was going to take a screen test. She was smoking a cigarette like outside while her friend was doing this audition, and somebody saw her smoking the cigarette, and the way she was just there smoking the cigarette with like this like unpleased look on her face. That one other part. So yeah, if you want to get roles in major movies, just hang around audition places where people do auditions and hope somebody sees you smoking a cigarette. But yeah, I mean, she was great as well. Yeah, both of them, they were really fun when they were doing that final battle. You have the landlord, who was kind of the he has, I don't know his abilities really. Everyone kind of had like their signature ability. The landlord's, his was kind of like, he was very floaty. And then you have the landlady, who had the very iconic lion's roar, which was used multiple times in the movie with her screaming and everything. But I mean, they were great. You have the banter at the beginning of the movie where they're literally just an abusive couple, strongest woman character ever. Yeah, I mean, her lion's roar. That's pretty. That's something. Uh, the way they did that special, that was one of the special effects in the movie when she does the lion's roar, where it's like, okay, that's a little cheesy, but you know, okay. But I mean, yeah, she was great. She was badass. Like that image of her with those things in her hair, the curlers in her hair, and just have the cigarette dangling out of her mouth. That's pretty iconic. It was a version of Tai Chi. Okay, okay, cool. Yeah. But yeah, they were great. They were really fun in that final battle, and apparently, yeah, they didn't directly. Did they directly say that they were the parents of Sing? They were kind of just like, our son would have been about his age at this point. Nudge, nudge. But I mean, yeah, I guess it's pretty obvious. But yeah, they were cool. Moving on to the Beast, the bad guy, and his name was what? I think it was Bruce Lung. Bruce Lung, and apparently he was. I've never heard of him before, but apparently he was an huge action star, huge martial arts star in the 70s and 80s, kind of like third behind Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. So they got him to come do this movie as well, which is crazy. Apparently Stephen Chow also idolized him, and apparently he took I wouldn't say a hiatus, but he hadn't been in anything for like 15 years, and then he took this role. So that's pretty sick that they got him in this. I read up on Wikipedia that he went and he was doing some, I don't know, some business side of things, like production roles. So yeah, they got a legend to come and be in this film, which is sick. And he had the Toad style fighting, which again, along with the lions or the CGI when they did that was a little okay. It was a little interesting, but I mean, that's part of the charm of the movie. You have his chin literally bloating up like a toad, and he smashes his head into people. Like, I talked about when I did the first Cine Club that Raising Arizona was a live action cartoon, but like this is even more so, like a live action Looney Tunes. I mean, they literally have the chase sequence that is ripped directly from the Roadrunner, and then they have these guys going on all fours. You have this martial arts legend, and what you make him do in this movie is go on all fours and headbutt people with your Toad style of fighting. But he was great. He was like, it's not your typical bad guy, right? He's all, I wouldn't say beaten up. He's all worn down. He's wearing these like ratchety clothes. His hair is just like so scraggly. He doesn't look like a typical like, you know, kung fu bad guy. But then he's there for the love of the game. That's what he's there for. All he wants. He doesn't want anything evil. He just wants to find a worthy opponent. He's one of those bad guys where it's like, you know, it's just about the love of the craft, you know, good versus evil. There's really a art in that dichotomy. And he just wants to find a worthy opponent, which I guess Sing fulfills in the end. So it's kind of weird having the main antagonist. He's not really wanting to like do anything really horrible to the world. I guess like, yeah, I'm literally like, did he try to beat up, I guess them fighting kind of just beat up Pigsty Alley, but he didn't really have a main objective of just like beating up the place, right? They introduce him taking a poop. Yeah, that is pretty classic. That was great. I love that as well. But yeah, his character, he goes into the Axe Gang's lair, and then he's just chilling there, and I forget what happened in that scene. People try to beat him up, and he just destroys everybody. Um, yeah, he was great. He was great. Okay, moving on to the next three people. This is kind of like a superhero movie. I'm finding it's like all of the big powerful figures in it just have their own like unique moves and everything. So you have Donut, Taylor, and Cooley, the the three ragtag groups from Pigsty Alley, who each have their own individual unique abilities. So you have Donut, who has his spears and his poles that he uses. And I know you were pointing it out earlier that the way they were all introduced was kind of just subtly alluding to their ability. So you had the donut guy, and he was making whatever dough, and he was using like a spear to kind of like press it down. And I mean, yeah, when they were introducing all of them, they're all kind of like, they're happy, and they're kind of like taking the landlord's crap when he was coming and being an asshole to all of them. So it was kind of, yeah, it was showing that, yeah, they're the good people in this Pigsty Alley. And yeah, it's all, that's kind of a theme that it seemed like Stephen Chow put in, that like the heroes are the people who are kind of, just doing good for good's sake rather than the mobs, I guess. I don't know. It seems to be like a part of his kind of way he makes movies, where you have the rags to riches, right? Maybe not riches, but like the low class kind of is where the most honest and the most honest good comes from. That's what it seemed like from watching this movie. So you have also Taylor, who had the rings, and so you go into the shop, and then they had that shot from up top, and you had all the clothes on the clotheslines, and you had the rings on them. So you got that, and then you have Cooley, which I don't know. He was kind of he didn't really have like an item. So you had the rings and the spear. He didn't really have an item, but he was kind of just like, he was the first one who stepped up. I forget how he was introduced, but yeah, he was kind of just the main badass martial arts dude. I don't know if he really had a certain ability, but I mean, yeah, they're all great. They were all great. So I know Cooley died at one point with his head getting sliced off by the musical harpists. I remember Taylor was on they were on their deathbed. I feel like they died. I feel like they all died, but I mean, I think they were really fun. They were kind of just like, so you have the Beast, who's doing it for, he's doing the Cooley is such a hottie. He is a hottie. He is a hottie. When he first stepped up to, save the town, he had that bandana on. He stepped up. He was all jacked. Yeah, he is a hottie. I agree. But I love their characters, and I think the fight between them and the harpist was the best scene in the movie for me. I love that scene. But like I was saying, with the Beast, he's kind of just doing it for the sake of finding an enemy. They're all kind of like those kung fu legends, where they're doing it because they just love fighting. I love that part where they're all being exiled, and they're like, "Hey guys, I'm so sad that we didn't get a chance to spar with each other." And then they have that quick moment of sparring, and oh, I thought that was great. That was such a happy moment right before they were all about to be slaughtered. But yeah, I love that. And yeah, the unique style of each of their fighting was what made it fun, because you had Cooley, who had the more like just typical. Yeah, he had the typical fighting. You had Donut. He had the spear, and he was literally just it seemed like his typical move with the spear was just putting it side to side, just literally whacking anything out of the way, whether it be just like the gang members, whacking them. When the harpists are shooting all those knives and everything, he just whacks the invisible knives out of the way. And you have Taylor, who uses literally the Shang-Chi rings. Maybe Shang-Chi just ripped it from this, or maybe it's like a typical thing that kung fu movies that I just am uncultured and don't know about. But yeah, I think they were great additions. They're kind of like I mean, yeah, to relate it to a superhero movie again, they're like the retired superheroes who they don't want to fight anymore. They just want peace. But no, they have to come out of retirement to save everybody. So yeah, and then you have the twin harpists, which I thought were awesome. Fun fact: Shang-Chi had a poster of Kung Fu Hustle in the really. Oh, Shang-Chi had. I'm gonna look that up right now. Shang-Chi Kung Fu Hustle poster. That's awesome. How'd you know that? Oh, let's see. So in his room, there's a Kung Fu Hustle. Oh yeah, look at that. Because yeah, I guess yeah, that the stuff on their wrists is very very much Shang-Chi, which I loved. I love Shang-Chi. It was awesome. So here, let me see if I can put this on screen here. Let me see if I can figure this out. Yeah, okay, I found it. I found it. Shang-Chi. There we go. Seems like a lot of his fighting style is influenced by all of these characters. Yeah, it definitely seems like it. Yeah. I guess Shang-Chi is definitely just one of those things where it's like a homage to. That's why Shang-Chi was so good in its own right, because it had all of those. It focused on the choreography. I think Shang-Chi and this, they both had choreography mixed with CGI in such a good way. Shang-Chi more polished than this one and more serious, but yeah, still that's why they both work so well. Sorry, I'm still fixing up this this picture here. Okay, add image. Okay. So the Shang-Chi. Wow. Okay. I guess that's something so easy to miss, like the poster in his room there. All right. Yeah, let me put this on here. All right, Kung Fu House. I'm curious what that other poster is. I don't know what that other poster is, but yeah, there we go. Kung Fu Hustle. That's awesome. Love to see it. Also, the spear guy takes out the guns, and the Chinese word for gun is the word for spear. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I remember. They had all those guns, and he was slapping all the guns away and kind of like slicing them in half. I believe that was him. But yeah. I like the spear guy. I liked watching the style of the spear guy the most, I think, out of them, because it was very satisfying to see him just like go side to side whacking everybody in the face. But yeah, okay, awesome. So yeah, where was I? Okay, yeah, so I was talking about those guys, and then oh yeah, the twin harpists. That was my favorite scene in the entire movie. The twin harpists attacking. Oh, the way they did it visually, like so many of the action sequence in this, it is like a little cheesy in a way, but that's part of the charm because it's literally a cartoon. But I think this was the most creative out of all of them, and the one I could have watched for so much longer. Like, so you have the harpist. They're just, I love the way they sit too. They like, they sit beside each other, put one leg on the other, and have the harp sit there and just, they flick the harp, which starts to send some spears and like even those skeleton things. But man, that sequence was amazing. You have the knives and everything coming in and out of I don't know what the word is, coming in and out of reality. So it's kind of like just alluding to the ghost, like the invisible things that are being forced upon them. But I mean, they were so badass. They were awesome, and the way they killed Cooley was so cool. Him walking away, and yeah, him walking away. What was it? There was an animal up top. I think it was the cat, but you don't show it on screen. You never show an animal being killed on screen. You have the cat walking on the roof, goes out of the shot, and you just see the shadow of the cat being sliced in half. Oof. Yeah, I think that was my favorite sequence in the entire movie, and I think the most visually and the most just stylized action scene in the whole movie. I thought it was the best part of the whole movie. Okay, moving on from them, we have Bone, who is Sing's friend. You know, the classic chubby sidekick. I don't know why they had him sit down when he was going to get that haircut, and they just had those shot of his chest and just added those like water noises. I was like, that was so uncomfortable, but he was good. He was like even more of a lovable idiot than Sing was. I mean, he didn't have much of an arc or anything. He was literally just the idiot who throws knives in Sing's side and drags him down. But yeah, he was fine. Like I really don't have much to say about him. And then you have Fong, who was the woman, the girl with the lollipop who didn't have a single line, I believe, but he tried to save her from being beaten up by some guys back in school, and he got beaten up for it. Wow, tragic. But I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about her, but hey, she did her job well. A few other characters I feel like they're now we just like the gangs are kind of the rest of the characters that I haven't talked about. The Axe Gang, the main guy in the Axe Gang he was cool. He had a good look to him. He had those the teeth in the front, and I really wanted them to bring back the dancing that they did at the beginning, because they seem so much more. I don't know why they seem so much more threatening, because they kind of just became the butt of the joke at the end of the movie when you had the Beast, who was so much more powerful. Yeah, he did. He did. So I think that honestly that made them more threatening because they were so careless with everything. You had them just dancing in the streets with their axes. And yeah, we watched the trailer at the beginning of the stream, and you had them dancing in the trailer. That was kind of like a through line in the trailer, but I thought that was hilarious. I love the dancing at the beginning. And yeah, that beginning sequence also. Apparently, so you had the Crocodile Gang, which was the guys who got beat up by the Axe Gang at the beginning. And then you had the inspector in the actual station. Those are two famous directors. So the guy who played the inspector and the guy who played the leader of the Crocodile Gang are famous Chinese directors, which was cool to see as well. So many references in the movie. But yeah, the Axe Gang were cool. They were cool. I think that it's a classic. They're on that level of like Batman gang, like that kind of universe where it's like you don't take them really too seriously because they're literally just like flaunting their axes. They all have axe tattoos, and it's like kind of silly, but like they work so well because they act so tough. And yeah, I don't know, they're cool. But I think at the beginning of the movie, it felt like a western, like a gangster western right at the beginning of the movie, because you had those like long shots of the town where you have that huge fight sequence where the Axe Gang just pull out the guns and just slaughter the Crocodile Gang, but it looked exactly like a western, which was cool. That was a nice homage as well. But yeah, I feel like that was most of the characters I wanted to cover. More about the story. I feel like it's one of those movies. It's very much a turn brain off and enjoy the ride movie. But if I had to say anything for the story, it was kind of like I was saying earlier. It's like kind of the rags to riches, right? He wants to be a bad guy this whole time, but he just sucks at being the bad guy. He was taught that you just have to be a dick. And then in the end, I don't know if like that was another thing where in the very end, he becomes this kung fu master, but like he didn't really earn it. He really didn't earn it. I guess the way he earned it was kind of just getting beat up nonstop and then being reborn like a butterfly, like they showed in that one shot. But he's kind of like a Steve Rogers, but like an anti-Steve Rogers, where it's like he's kind of an idiot who will go up against forces that are way more powerful than him, but in the end, he's the guy who's not going to back down, and that's kind of what leads him to the success that he has. But at the same time, the things that he stood for in the beginning were not the absolute good that Steve Rogers was. But yeah, so that I see him as an anti-Steve Rogers, who eventually gets his superpowers, just like the super serum. He gets his enlightenment when he goes up and sees the Buddha in the sky, and he is reborn. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. It's kind of it felt like it was gonna be like a typical gangster storyline, right? So you have this guy he was born into a life of crime. I guess he wasn't really born into it, but he was born surrounded by a life of crime, and then he thought that was the only way to get by. He has to kill. He has to do crime all the time. But there's the moment of truth where he has to choose to be good or evil, kind of like a typical gangster thing where it's like, whoa, this is like, it's like you have that moment where it's like, oh, whoa, this is a step too far. Should I really do this? And it's either you go down that road of becoming a pure gangster, or you step back and you kind of do what's right. And I feel like that moment was kind of when I don't know, because it was weird. In the final fight, you had the gang guy, the Axe Gang. He was telling him, "Oh, go beat him up, go beat him up." But then he turns on the gang guy. But then he still had to beat up the Beast. But still, he had to realize who was in the right and who was in the wrong, and he chose good instead of evil. Wow. Yeah. And then you have everything with like his lollipop, which is, I don't know. It's a nice symbol that's like, it's very silly, and you have the spiral in it, which is kind of like a whatchamacallit, dichotomy, yin yang thing. But his arc is kind of like shown through the lollipop. I found it's like, so you have you have Sing, and he's a character who any good side of him he's locked away for so long because he's chosen that he has to be bad to be successful, just like the lollipop. He had that moment he had that moment back in school with the girl where he had the chance to stand up for the lollipop, but then she locked it away for so long. So that side of him, it's been locked away for so long. And then when it shows himself, when he finally sees her again and sees the lollipop, it shatters. He chose evil. He's like, okay, he's got to be a bad guy now. And we see, I forget, I think it was his friend who tried to like put the lollipop pieces back together. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was the girl. But you couldn't put those pieces back together. So he was broken. But he had to be born anew. He had to be enlightened. He had to go up into the sky and become enlightened. And then in the end, he has his new lollipop stand, his new candy store. So that's him being born anew through the lollipop. So he is the lollipop. I don't know what I'm saying. That's my analysis of his character being told through the use of a lollipop. So yeah, that's the kind of movie this is about. But yeah. I guess we can talk about the Pigsty Alley, which was cool, which is a reference to there was a movie that they referenced that I read up on that I don't remember now, actually. Something about like the House of 72 Tenants or something like that. Some old Chinese film where it's just like about this corrupt tenant, this corrupt landlady. The whole thing was a Willy Wonka origin story. True. That is that's very true. Yeah, what's gonna happen after? Because like you have the landlord and the landlady. They secluded to their Pigsty Alley, and now he's secluded to the candy store. So does that mean that the kid at the very end, when they show him with those 5 kung fu pamphlets, the booger kid, is that really his son? Oh man, that was so silly. The booger kid, of course. That's a perfect way to wrap it up. The House of 72 Tenants. There we go. Yeah. House of 72 Tenants. I heard about that as well. And I mean, yeah, the set looks exactly like that. And yeah, it was a reference to that. And it's showing that in this Pigsty Alley, the true heroes, they're not flashy. They're just the everyday folk. But yeah, it seemed like you have the typical like hero who's kind of this macho man who's like training for so long, or like a badass villain who's like super cool and sleek. But in this movie, it's like you have him who's just like this guy who's literally part of the slums, and then you have the villain who's kind of disheveled and everything, which is it's kind of like a turning it on its head, just like everything about this movie, right? Like you're turning the instead of just having the martial arts, you have so much CGI and camp with it, but then you have these characters who are also not super typical, which is fun. So yeah, so even at the end, you have he's not beating the villain, right? He's choosing to offer him guidance instead of killing him, even after he he pulled that maneuver where he tried to sabotage him with that flower needle and everything. Yeah, just another way to show him that he's truly enlightened, and he's become finally his purest self. I don't know, but yeah, it was cool to see that the House of 72 Tenants was pretty much exactly what it was taken. Like this movie takes from so many other movies, and it works so well. Speaking of taking from other movies, there's so many references in the movies, and I'll try to talk about some of them here. So we have the most obvious is just for martial arts movies in general. And I believe it was like he had the white shirt, black pants, and I think it was Enter the Dragon that had that. So you have that. But here's a few that I noted down, but I'm sure there's like a million more that I didn't get to. But I mean, you have The Matrix. The Matrix was like so evident. I know you talked about it before when you told me about this movie. So yeah, you have you have so much slow-mo, so much of like the slow-mo people punching in the faces, which I thought it worked well. I liked how when they punch the face, it wasn't like the ripples and everything, and it wasn't like super cheesy when their face is so distorted. It's like I love that shot where you have the landlord and the landlady fighting the beast. You have like one of their foot coming up here, one of the fists coming here, and it doesn't look cheesy. It's not going for the typical like the waves, the ripples, and everything. It's very fun. I liked it a lot. The style was great. So yeah, you have the slow mo of the Matrix, and then you literally have like the a million bad guys, which are the Mr. Smiths, fighting the Neos. You have that at the beginning of the movie with the Axe Gang beating up those Crocodile Gang dudes, and then I mean at the end of the movie as well, you have the Axe Gang coming on him when he's finally enlightened and he's stepping on all their feet. I thought him stepping on their feet because he stepped on a few of the bad guys' feet and literally smushed them. I thought that was going to be his signature move because I had caught on. I was like, everybody has a signature move. I thought that was going to be his signature move, but it ended up being the palm thing. But oh, that was funny too. But yeah, very Matrix, and yeah, like you were saying before, it's definitely off the tail of the Matrix, which came out 99, and you have this 2004. So yeah, definitely similar style of some of the action scenes, which was fun. Dare I say that sequence was better than the one from Matrix Reloaded? Whew. That's a bold claim. I mean, that was one of the notable one of the actual only good sequences from Matrix Reloaded. But I think as a whole, I agree with you because this movie had that campiness, whereas the Matrix was trying to be more serious. So it really allowed that style to shine in this movie rather than the Matrix. I agree. I agree with that statement. So yeah, on to other references. Yeah, I mean, it's literally a Looney Tunes / Roadrunner cartoon. Another very notable sequence where the landlady's chasing him and their feet are literally becoming Roadrunner feet running away from them. He goes 90 degrees flat running under that van, under that truck. I think one of my favorite shots in the entire movie is when he's running away from the landlady in that sequence and he looks at the knife in his shoulder and uses it as a rear view mirror. That was great. I love that. Yeah, that sequence is great. It's literally a cartoon. People get beat up, but you're never like when people are being beat up, it's not, you're never feeling like any of them are going to die because yeah, just of what's the kind of style that's established. You have some people doing very floaty, like they get hit and then they like the way that they're thrown back is so exaggerated, so floaty. Yeah, you're never afraid that they're gonna die or anything. Just like in Looney Tunes, it's like kids watch these incredibly violent things happen to these characters, but they're not like actually being hurt. So it's kind of like that as well. But yeah, I think also the sound design is a lot of that as well because yeah, every time somebody gets hit, it's so punchy. The sound design is so punchy, just like a cartoon as well. But yeah, it works well. Other references, you have The Shining with the blood door. I mean, you could have not had that shot, and it would still, like, you wouldn't have missed it. But I mean, it's a movie full of references, so they just had to add him going in there and imagining the blood door coming through that the door from the beast. But yeah, very obvious one there. And then you have, with great power comes great responsibility. I forget which one said it. It was one of the dying masters. And he said, with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man. Then you had the Batman reference, which is they shot up the axe firework, which had the axe symbol in the sky, which is kind of like the bat symbol. You had the Blues Brothers, which is the harpists. The harpists, the kind of the Blues Brothers with the glasses, the hats, all dressed in black and everything. And I guess a more direct reference, you had that Fred Astaire poster. I remember when he's with the girl, and I think he was like maybe going in to stab her, and he like does a bow with her. And you had a Fred Astaire poster in the background with them literally doing the exact same action, which is funny. I like that. And then yeah, I guess you also had the Shaolin soccer reference, right? When he walks into the pigsty alley, and the line that he said was, I went back to it. He had the line, "You're still playing football," which is funny because Shaolin soccer was like, I don't know, I think it was 3 years before this. And he comes in, he says, "You're still playing football? You're still playing soccer?" Which is another great reference. The Untouchables. What are you prepared to do? Oh yeah, I remember him. I was like, I've never seen The Untouchables, but that makes a lot of sense because he said that in like such a. He said that in English, right? Yeah, he said that in English. So it was very much a quote. that I knew it was a quote, but I didn't know what it's from because I've never seen The Untouchables. But yeah, I mean, chock full of references. If you have any other references that you noticed, I feel like those were most of the ones that I noticed. But yeah, the references were super fun. References were super fun. It's the kind of movie that works with all those references. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Some of the other moments I liked were, I mean, a lot of the comic moments worked. It's like I feel like so many of these moments could have came off as cheesy in some others movies, but I don't know, they just work so much in this movie. Like I loved when he's in the traffic light thing and he has those huge lips. His lips are literally just like dangling from his mouth. That was hilarious. You had the one where he's throwing back the firecracker and then he hits the axe gang guy and then he flinches to the sound of the firecracker. Yeah, I know you were saying that earlier. I love when the axe gang first comes into the pigsty alley and you have the clouds rolling in literally with them. It's just like every moment in the every moment in the film is so stylized, and like the what's shown on the camera is like a direct interpretation of what's happening. So you have like them coming in and being literally the storm that's coming in. They don't know what storm is about to happen. Like, I mean, with that final fight, their whole city kind of just got, their whole town just got absolutely obliterated. And it was mainly by Singh. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have that giant palm just go into that building and destroy everything. But yeah. Oh, I also, yeah, another one of those stupid, silly moments where he wants to like fight somebody, and he sees a short guy in the crowd with glasses, but it's just like a super tall guy, and he's sitting down. He stands there. He's like, no, not you, not you. That's not fair, not fair. And then he gets this old guy that he sees, and the old guy comes out, and he's just ripped. And then he sees a guy who has a baby face, and then the baby comes out and he's ripped. It's like, that goes along so well with that type of style of filmmaking that Stephen Chow had. I forget what it was called. It was the Mo Li Tao style, where it's like just literally the type of humor where it's like it makes no sense, it's out of nowhere. And I think that was the scene where it's like, yeah, you have the tall guy and then the jacked old guy and the jacked baby. That was hilarious. It worked so well. No, I've never seen One Punch Man. I've never seen One Punch Man. Is that kind of like what his move is based off? The palm? He's trying to just do the one punch. I've heard of One Punch Man, but I haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure the sparring session with Genos was referencing that. Oh, okay. Genos? When you say sparring session, is that like when they were all the three masters were fighting? I don't know. I've never seen One Punch Man, but okay. Another reference there that I didn't get, but you know, you're never gonna get all the references, but still. Okay, so what else is there to say about this movie? Yeah, cartoony style, audio is punchy. Like, I think that, okay, we'll go into a little bit of criticism. I think the CGI worked most of the time. Like, you can tell a lot of it has not aged very well, but it worked most of the time. There's a few moments where it's like, I think certain fight sequences where you had like the landlord and he's like super floaty and everything. It's like the floaty stuff just makes it feel so much more supernatural than like the slow-mo worked, and you know, sometimes people flying up and like your super exaggerated amount of air that they're getting, but like, I don't know. There was some CG moments, I can't, like off the top of my head, I can't really say all of them, but like, you know, it was a little outdated, but like it has its charm. It's still fun. But yeah. There's not much to criticize about this movie. I mean, it's just super fun. But I guess that's one notable thing, because it seems like it's going to be a martial arts movie, but like, I feel like I said it's a blend of martial arts with CGI, but like it's mainly CGI. I'd say 75% CGI, 25% martial arts. I feel like the biggest martial arts moments were like with that sparring session, and then I guess Cooley is kind of more of a martial arts guy instead of everybody else. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't like. It's more of a superhero movie than it is a martial arts movie, but that's not a bad thing. Let me say that. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other moments, but I feel like that's mostly what I want to talk about. I mean, I really loved it. I did. It's a movie that everybody will like. Like, it's one of the reasons why it's a Chinese movie that still resonates. Like, great movies are able to transcend the language barrier and penetrate different cultures. And yeah, this movie does that so well just because of the charm, just because it's, I mean, I guess it did take a lot from Western media and everything, but it works so well because so much of it comes from the visuals, which do not need a language to be conveyed, right? So yeah, it worked great. I loved Kung Fu Hustle. I think I gave it a 8 out of 10, like a 4 out of 5 stars. But again, I always say that's just a score on Letterboxd. There's so much more to a movie than a score that you give it. So I would recommend Kung Fu Hustle to anybody. So yeah, and I look forward to watching Shaolin Soccer. I will definitely seek it out sometime soon. Yeah. One last thing about Kung Fu Hustle. I read on Wikipedia that they made a Flash game for Kung Fu Hustle when the movie came out in 2004, and I wanted to play it for this, but of course Adobe Flash Player is ripped and it's gone. But here, I have a video of it. Let me pull it up here. It looks kind of sick. It's literally just like a beat 'em up Flash game. Let me pull it up here. It looks pretty funny.
Oi.
So you have Sing fighting his friend, his sidekick. This looks amazing. Yeah, you got Pigsty Alley in the background. I wanted to play this. I tried to find a way to play this, but I couldn't find anything online anymore. But yeah, I think I went through this video a bit. So you have Sing fighting his sidekick. Who else does he fight here? The Barber. Oh, yeah, the Barber. I guess I didn't talk about the Barber as a character. Because he had... His whole character was literally... He never pulled up his pants. Even in that final shot of the movie where they're at the lollipop stand, he was in the background talking to a girl. He was like leaning up against the wall and his pants were still just... His crack was still showing. That was literally his whole character. But, I mean, he was fun. He was funny. When he says, "Oh, I got no water," and he gets slapped by the landlady. Great moment. Great moment. But, yeah, he was fun. I think that's him. Yeah, he's the Barber. Who else we got in here? We got the tailor. All right, the guy with the rings. You got... All you have is jump, crouch, left, right, punch, and kick. Oh, special moves. Oh, okay. So you got special moves. If you go back, back, punch, get some special moves. Wow. This game looks sick. I wish I could play it. I wish I could play it. What else we got here? We got Cooley. All right. My man. More movies should do this. Put out like a crappy little video game to promote it. Because, man, I used to play so many Flash games. It's so tragic that Adobe Flash is gone. Yeah. I just want to... I want to pan through this video to see who else is there. Oh, you got Donut with his spear? That's so sick. Okay. So you have Donut. What else we got? Oh, this is a different location. Oh, okay. Brother Son. The Axe Gang leader guy. Oh, throwing axes at him. All right. Oh, and then you have the the thing that the bell that she did the Lions Roar with. Oh, this is so cool. What else we got here? The Landlord, fighting the Landlord with his mustache. Good character design. What else we got? Landlady, I'm guessing. Oh, Landlady. Yep. With her scream. Alright, so you have Landlady, KO. Oh, here, there's a... Wait. Okay. Oh, shoot. Go back, go back, go back. So we got... Okay. I think we went through most of these. Oh, he already beat the Beast? Oh, I didn't see the Beast. Oh, man. I must have skipped over it. Wait. Landlord. Maybe he was down here. No, Donut. Brother Sum. Oh, maybe I'm thinking Donut is the Beast. Okay, okay, okay. They had a similar haircut. You know, the bald, scraggly look. So you have him fighting Landlady. You have him fighting... Oh, the harpists. What are they called? Tin? Man, this game... Oh, okay, I see. On the end, you got the... It's a casino table. That was another great scene. Where they're at the Axe Gang place, and they finally had the Beast. And then he breaks through the wall and everything. And then you have them already there, waiting to confront them, playing the casino games. That was a little convenient, but it was funny. It's like, okay. They're so badass that they know exactly where they need to go I don't know. That was a funny moment as well. But yeah, it's called Kung Fu Fighter. Kung Fu Fighter. They didn't even call it Kung Fu Hustle. But yeah, they made a short promotional flash game for it, which was sick. Yeah, and I'm saying, movie studios, come on. You don't have to put much effort in these games. People will still play them. Like the amount of people when I was a kid that played flash games. Come on. But okay. I think that's everything I have to say about Kung Fu Hustle. I really liked it. It was awesome. And thank you so much for the suggestion. It's yeah. It's one of those movies where I think now I would definitely recommend it to everybody. And I'm happy that I now know more about Stephen Chow. He seems like such a super happy filmmaker. Like, this, what you're getting into when you're getting into his kind of the movie. It's just, you're going to have a good time no matter what. And I definitely want to seek out some of his other filmography. But yeah, it's a good breakup from my typical, just me selecting a sci-fi concept movie. Like, if people didn't give me suggestions, I feel like I would just select a sci-fi movie every single week. But speaking of next week, I had a suggestion from a friend to do a rom-com because next Monday is Valentine's Day. But I'm not doing this for Valentine's Day. I'm not selecting a rom-com because it's Valentine's Day. I'm selecting a rom-com because I want to celebrate the release of a major rom-com. There hasn't been a huge rom-com in so long, or at least a good one. The Kissing Booth and Tall Girl do not count. So I'm celebrating the release of Marry Me with Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson by watching a rom-com. I'm not a big rom-com guy. I haven't seen too many rom-coms. There are only a few that I really like. I'm trying to think of rom-coms that I actually do like. I like The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler. That's a classic. I'm gonna look up a few rom-coms. What rom-coms have I seen? I'm not a big rom-com guy. Rom-com movies. Let's see. They have Yesterday. Oh, Palm Springs. I guess that's kind of a rom-com. I love Palm Springs. Palm Springs was great. The movie What If with Daniel Radcliffe. Oh, The Big Sick. The Big Sick is a great rom-com. Love The Big Sick. Yeah, I'm scrolling through these and I'm like, yeah, I have not seen many of these. But okay, the movie I am choosing for next week. I've heard very good things. Like, know a few of my friends have seen this movie, and like literally all of them have been like, "Oh, it is so feel good." It's like, yeah, I've heard nothing good, but I feel like it might be. Is it a comma? Okay, comma. Is it a comedy? Yes. Okay, good. It's a comedy. I don't just want to watch a rom-dram. So, okay, next week we're gonna watch Beginners. Again, I'm not gonna watch a trailer or anything. I'm just going to go into it blind, but I've heard great things. I love Ewan McGregor, of course. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he can do no wrong. I'm just going to see him as Obi-Wan Kenobi in this movie, but that's okay. But yeah, I'm a big Ewan McGregor fan. He was great in Christopher Robin. That was a good movie too. I enjoyed that. That's a nice and feel-good movie. But yeah, this is a movie we're watching next week. It's hour 45, not too long. But I've heard nothing but good things. Mike Mills as the director. Got Christopher Plummer. Melanie Laurent, most famous for, what was she in again? Oh, she looks so familiar. Okay, she was in Inglourious Basterds, yeah. But, so yeah, Beginners is our next movie, and we'll be doing that on February, what day is it? February 14th next week. So, yeah. Like I said before, I don't want to just do sci-fi movies that I like every week. So, yeah, thank you for the suggestion to switch it up and do a rom-com. And, yeah, I believe it's on Crave if anybody has Crave. But just find a way to watch it. I'm not going to judge you. Find a way to watch it. But, yeah, seems like it should be fun. I'm not going to look too much into it like I usually do. But, yeah, that is next week. Beginners, next week, 7 o'clock here, the Film Spot.